Pushinguproses here, and welcome to Something New, a show I haven't covered yet, but has been requested more times than I can count. Diagnosis Murder, starring the effervescent Dick Van Dyke. You know I've seen a handful of episodes when I was younger, but it didn't stick with me the way Murder, She Wrote and Columbo did. I regularly revisit the latter and couldn't remember a thing about Diagnosis Murder besides Dick Van Dyke. After reading a synopsis and watching an episode, I can safely say that this show is just Murder, She Wrote, but with an older man instead of an older woman. Dick Van Dyke plays Mark Sloan, a medical doctor who helps to solve crime. It can never just be a detective in these shows, can it? It's gotta be a doctor, or a writer again, or a baker? Dr. Sloan consults with the police to solve crime, murders more often than not, with the aid of his detective son, Steve Sloan, who is not just his son in the show, but Dick Van Dyke's actual son, Barry Van Dyke. There's a few other characters who assist Dr. Sloan himself, one being a medical examiner named Amanda Bentley, a hospital administrator named Norman Briggs, and a fellow doctor, Dr. Jack Stewart. Yeah, it's Scott Baio. Lovely. I'm gonna call him Scott. Boo! Fun fact, Baio's character was swapped with a new doctor at the start of the third season, Dr. Jesse Travis, who is played by our second favorite Ferris Bueller, Charles Schlatter. I wanted to find a real banger for this video, so I went with an episode called The Bela Lugosi Blues, which did not disappoint. Let's just say I thought this show was more grounded in reality. It is not. Our story begins on a moonlit night with a beautiful young woman running away from some strange-looking man and set to ominous music. Honestly, this format and this music is used so much in Murder, She Wrote, I thought it was a Murder, She Wrote, and I was like streaming the wrong show.
Hold it! Come back!
Wow, she's running so fast. The man corners her and attempts to open a box he's been carrying around, but loses his nerve and trips over a conveniently placed rock.
Whoa!
The mysterious woman approaches him, and a blood-curdling scream is heard. The next day, we learn Detective Sloan is assigned the case of the murdered man. Damn, Barry, you're gonna hurt someone with that chin. Not an insult, by the way, I love a strong jaw.
Victim profoundly anemic, massive loss of blood, no signs of hemorrhaging and cranial cavity.
Okay, but now say it like Bert.
Now how does that sound?
Detective Sloan shows his dad the box they found, empty. As you can see, the murder weapon was clearly a flute. I love that his reaction to that was just a shrug, then the episode cuts to a different scene entirely. Perfect. Back at the hospital, an attempt at comedic relief is made. Dr. Jack Stewart is getting fitted for a formal event, volunteering to be in a Bachelor of the Year competition. The medical examiner, Dr. Bentley, mocks him for it.
Don't you have a body to cut up in the basement somewhere?
Boo! Turns out the hospital administrator, Norman, signed him up, thinking it would be good PR for the hospital, which is weird and not why I go to the hospital. The last time I was in the hospital, I wasn't saying, look, I know this doctor went to Harvard, but how many times has he won Bachelor of the Year? The event is stuffy and pretentious, and Jack is not enjoying himself until he is approached by the enigmatic Mariah Thomas.
Mariah Thomas, editor of Empire magazine.
She says she'll be selecting the finalists for the competition, and he is immediately smitten.
Is Thomas Norman Briggs?
Charmed, Mr. Biggs.
Swing and a miss.
Now that you've sampled the appetizers, I think it's time you feasted on the main course.
What a completely normal and not strange thing to say. I like how she looks at every guy up there as though she's going to bone them all. Ooh, fun vest alert.
And finally, the star running back of the LA Flames, Terry Broadhurst.
Whoa, did you hear that lady shriek with joy? Terry's got a super fan.
Terry Broadhurst.
As the party winds down, Mariah and Jack are getting close.
You're quite something, Doctor. I think I'll save you for dessert.
I want to suck your cock. Unfortunately, Fun Vest Guy, aka Vic Danton, cuts in and starts singing to her?
We can face the music together.
If you haven't noticed, Mariah definitely has a very high charisma stat. She seems to have the capability to enthrall all these men until they are absolute putty in her hands.
Are you hungry?
White Castle's open 24/7. She tells him to go to a room upstairs and he agrees to wait for her. After a terrible, dramatic scene of her walking up the stairs with a candelabra, it cuts to the full moon where we hear another scream. Oof, sounds like those sliders didn't agree with him. The two Sloanes discuss the murder of Fun Vest Guy, Vic Danton, citing similar circumstances to the last one. Sloane and Amanda examine the bodies and find 2 similar puncture marks on each of their necks, though that wouldn't account for the massive blood loss. Meanwhile, everyone makes fun of Dr. Jack, and I just keep imagining they're mocking Bayo himself, so I enjoyed these scenes. At the next eligible Bachelor meeting, they pay respects to the late Vic Danton.
In memory of Vic Danton, a man blessed with talent.
We can face the music together.
There's some weird subplot with another Bachelor threatening to leave his contract or something. It's weird, it doesn't really have anything to do with the murder at this point.
Don't spike the hand that feeds you.
Spite? Don't spite the hand? Team Sloane joins everyone at the mansion for the Bachelor activities to ask questions. They learn Mariah Thomas was the last person to see Vic, and they ask the organizer if they can speak with her.
She's resting. I'll have her call you when she rises.
Wow, this episode is not being even a little subtle, huh? He says he'll try to wake her up, meanwhile the Sloanes poke around the mansion. What a terrible painting. The organizer, Mr. Bach, finds them snooping around the courtyard.
When I said you could look around, I didn't realize you were going to make a career of it.
He's a detective. Unfortunately, he was unable to wake up Mariah.
What's that?
It's a candle, sir. In a room outside the main mansion, the detective spots a coffin among a bunch of clutter. Mr. Bach says it's just a prop. Just as they're about to open it, Bach dramatically falls to the ground and needs assisting back to his room.
I think I tore something.
He literally pulled a Danny Kaye from White Christmas. Dr. Sloane is definitely drawn into this case. He realizes that the painting that he found used to have a mirror in its place, but now there aren't any in the entire mansion.
So maybe Bach redecorated.
I couldn't find one mirror in that house.
And another thing, I didn't find a single clove of garlic. Amanda realizes he's implying Mariah could be a vampire. Amanda is incredulous, but intrigued. At the party for the final Bachelor send-off, Jack and Mariah are getting cozy again.
Yeah, cut in.
Cock blocked again.
You're a wonderful dancer, Doctor.
He's literally shuffling around. Dr. Sloane tries to interrogate Mariah, even though her charming effect seemed to be taking a hold of him. The moment is broken when he tells her about the puncture wounds in the victims' necks and implies the killer is a vampire, or at least someone who believes they are a vampire. She responds in a very normal, collected way. That night, Mariah claims Terry Broadhurst as her next victim. At the crime scene, it is revealed that the first victim in the introduction of the episode was a professor of paranormal activity. Looks like the Sloanes have to pay Mariah another visit, though she's conveniently not home. They talked to Bach, saying that they didn't find a record of her existence before she started working for him. And also, I must say, I love it when in a detective show, the suspect starts doing absolutely random things while being questioned. Yeah, sorry, I just gotta clean this candlestick. With the finesse and cunning of Jessica Fletcher herself, Dr. Sloane tricks Mr. Bach into going down to the station to identify Terry Broadhurst, while he stays behind to wait for another car, leaving the door unlocked as they leave.
I'll wait outside.
Oh, okay.
I'll just wait out here.
Just to reiterate, outside. Not inside, outside. Well, the coffin is gone, so Sloane begins snooping. Let's see what's behind curtain number 2. It's a brand new coffin. You'll feel dead asleep and loving it in this classic piece of furniture from the 14th century. It's currently empty, but there's a dainty pink pillow inside, which indicates to Sloane that somebody uses this as their bed. The next day, Jack strolls into Sloane's office bragging about the date he has with Mariah. The doctor tells him he may want to cancel, as she's not just a suspect, but the only suspect in the murders of the 3 bachelors.
Come on, Mark. She seems perfectly normal to me.
Sometimes I get so lonely, I feel like opening the drapes and staring at the sun till I melt.
How are you feeling, Mariah?
As usual, empty. We danced. I had a little midnight snack and he left.
The doctor tries to tell Jack that he's convinced that Mariah believes she is a vampire, which is sort of a thing. There does exist a syndrome called clinical vampirism, which is documented as the obsession with drinking blood. Despite the warnings and the 3 dead bachelors, he decides to go on the date anyway. To intervene, Sloane convinces Normal to give him extra hours at work so he misses it. Seems like a dick move. A Dick Van Dyke move! but his life is in danger, so overtime doesn't seem like a big deal here. Amanda decides to go to the last bachelor's pad to inquire about Mr. Bach. After a very odd scene where he tells her she can touch his bicep, he says that Bach is skating on thin ice, he made bad investments, and that Terry Broadhurst was his only real asset. Steve Sloan says that Bach had a reason to off Terry because he had a $20 million life insurance policy on him, but it really only gives him a motive for one of the murders and not the other bachelors. Unfortunately, Dr. Sloan's plan to make Jack work a double shift didn't work out, as he called in another doctor to take it for him. Steve goes to the manor to talk to Bach about Broadhurst's murder, not even realizing that Jack is in the other room. I'm sorry, what is this dress? Why is there one puffy sleeve? So the ritual begins. Mariah tells Jack to go upstairs, door on the left. Okay, the lights are on this time. You don't need to light the candles. Just as she's about to make her agonizingly slow ascent up the stairs, Mark bursts through the door, demanding to see Jack. He tells Mariah that he knows she thinks she's a vampire, but he can get her help, to which she scoffs. Why is everyone so weird in this show? He says he saw the coffin in her room.
I sleep in a bed like everybody else. I just use the coffin to travel.
She absolutely insists that she is real and proves it with her incredible strength. Nice job, stunt double. Holy shit, they went supernatural. She really is a vampire who was hired to take out Terry Broadhurst for Mr. Bach so he could collect the insurance money. But that would be too obvious, so he hired someone to take all of the bachelors out to make it seem like there was a serial killer on the loose. And I gotta say, this is the best plot ever. I love that this man hired a vampire to do his dirty work.
It was the least I could do. He offered to get me a valid passport. My last one expired in 1938.
All of this for a passport. Respect. Jack walks in, tired of waiting for his booty call, and sees what's going on. He tries to hit her with a wooden pole, which just angers her more. Oh, he also gets a stunt double. Stunt doubled! As she levitates towards them, Jack grabs the sharp wooden pole and stabs her in what looks to be the stomach. What was up with that cut? What happened there? Now, I admit, I'm not terribly up to speed on vampire lore, but wouldn't she need to be stabbed in the heart? And doesn't the stake have to be a specific type of wood? Like carved from something specific, not a wooden table leg made of walnut. Before she dies, she admits to the murders and that Bach hired her. So that's it, is it? Vampires are canon in the Diagnosis Murder lore. Amazing. I honestly couldn't recall Diagnosis Murder ever doing fantasy stuff like this, at least not so blatantly. I really thought she was going to have that aforementioned bloodlust thing and that everything was going to have a totally logical explanation, but nope. It's vampires. Murder, She Wrote does have a few episodes that teeter on the edge of supernatural, but that show usually keeps it ambiguous. There's actually an episode very similar to this one with somebody who may or may not be a vampire, but in the end there were all these explanations for this character's strange behavior. It ended on a but maybe. This is just right in your face. I couldn't believe it. I would need to watch more to see if the other seasons have more unhinged episodes, because now my interest is piqued. I also loved seeing both Dick and Barry in this series together. If you close your eyes and just listen to Barry talk, it's so confusing. He sounds just like his dad.
Have your identification ready?
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Conducting a homicide investigation.
Overall, I liked watching this, but it doesn't even hold a candle to how I feel about Murder, She Wrote or Columbo. But I'm interested in hearing from you. This was a very popular and well-rated show, so if you have any suggestions for an episode you'd love to see me break down, please leave a comment in the comment section. So interestingly, this video actually warrants both of my send-offs, so until next time, stay spooky and happy sleuthing. Hey everyone, thanks again for watching my video on Diagnosis Murder. I cannot wait to see your reactions on this one. If you want to see more from me, I have plenty of videos on this channel, but first, a huge heartfelt thank you to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me and the channel so I can try new things like this, like, you know, Diagnosis Murder. Please consider throwing a few bucks at my campaign, and if not, really any kind of interaction helps videos to reach more people. Likes, comments, shares, you know the drill. If you want to see more from me, here's a few suggestions on the screen. On the left, we have an episode from my flagship series, That Time on Murder, She Wrote, and on the right, we have a movie review of The Company of Wolves. And don't forget, I also have a podcast where I talk in depth about adventure games. All links are in the description below. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next one.